What is up, YouTube community? I am Slayer Tag, and I'm lucky to introduce my dad.
So,
So, this is episode 3 of Let's Talk About, and today we are going to be talking about, is Doctor Sleep a worthy sequel to the original The Shining? So, what are your opinions?
I would have to say yes. Yes, it is. The Shining was a classic starring Jack Nicholson, who is by far the greatest actor to ever live.
In his opinion.
Yeah, in many people's opinion. Let's be honest with ourselves. I do think it was a good follow-up, and Slayer will point out some points on why.
I think it's good how they started it right after The Shining ended to see the trauma that Danny had as a child afterwards, and how he was
I guess affected.
dealing with it in ways that he could by defeating the ghosts that seemed to be following him because of his shine.
I thought it was good. In how they casted actors that almost looked exactly like the original players in Shining with the mom. And
Except she was better looking.
yes, Shelley Duvall is grotesque, and I still don't understand why they casted her to play aside Jack Nicholson, but that's neither here nor there. Um, the gentleman they casted to play Scatman Carruthers' role, he looked and sounded just like Dick Halloran. It was interesting. I do think it tied in very well as a sequel, also because of how it showed that Danny, played by Ewan McGregor, um, followed exactly in his dad's footsteps in how to hide his shine. So it makes you wonder if Jack Torrance's issues with alcoholism in the first one were brought on because he had a shine and didn't know how to deal with it. So to quiet it down, he drank and often became violent. And then when he was locked up in the Overlook Hotel, if you've seen The Shining, you know how that ends. But that's just my opinion on how well they did to kind of keep the same movie going with different people playing the same roles.
So, since you brought up Scatman Carruthers and Dick Halloran, how do you feel about them bringing him back as a ghost?
I thought it was good because I think it was metaphorical. I think a lot of people have ghosts in their closets or in their minds, or people they think of when life gets hard. I also think, in a way, the ghost of Dick Halloran um, was Danny's conscience in many ways. Like when life got tough, um, he would show up and help him choose the right way to
So
fix whatever was going on.
He was like a guide.
A guide. Okay, so conscious is the wrong word. Yes, you're correct. He was more of like a life guide, like a mentor, so to speak. And he taught him ways on how to hide from the ghosts that are chasing him. And a lot of times, again, I think that's a metaphor because a lot of times people have pasts, and they often have ghosts in their past that they're either trying to hide from or forget about. So the whole box trick that Dick teaches Danny on how to conceal these issues or bury them was very effective.
I enjoyed how they expanded on how the power of the Shining works, and in showing like you can like mind control people and talk to them when they're not really there, almost.
Yes, I would agree. What's the other ones? One of the negatives I will say about this film, because if anyone is a true fan of the original Shining and has watched it, there is a scene in there somewhere where I believe Dick Halloran is explaining to Danny about The Shining and about how the hotel um, wants him because of his shine and how strong it is. So one of the things I didn't like about the second one, and for those of you who may not have seen the movie, you may want to click off right now.
Watch the movie and then come back.
Yes, exactly. I didn't like how it didn't showcase exactly how powerful Danny was. They make it sound like he's this juggernaut in the Shining community, for lack of a better way to say it, and he doesn't really show it off in the movie. I mean, there was this one brief scene where he is overtaken by the hotel. The hotel gets to him and possesses him, and for a brief moment, you get to see his strength shine through, and he is
No pun intended.
yeah,
Or
no,
was it?
definitely. I think it was intended, but a mistake at the same time, if that makes any sense. So, I will say that there was one scene where he was able to hold off on the possession of the hotel just long enough to bring in the all-star of the movie, Abra, a girl who is what 12, 13 in the movie, and she seems to have the strength to shine clear across the country.
I'd
And
say she's about that age, yeah.
and she shows strength to shine clear across the country and connect with people, and even with the villains in the movie. And remind me, what's their names again?
Their group name is the True Knot. The main villain is Rose the Hat.
Rose the Hat, beautiful but deadly. Rose the Hat. And the one thing that really terrified me about this movie was how they survive. They live off of fear. And there's this one scene, again, if you still haven't seen the movie, maybe a little hard to stomach, but they eat people's fear to stay young and stay alive. And Rose the Hat, although so beautiful, very cunning, but very deadly. There is one mind game, though, that is played on Rose the Hat in the movie by Abra, which is absolutely amazing. And what's your thoughts on that scene?
The way she was able to get into her head was very creative, I feel. How, like, she used her shine to, like, pretend that she was there, and she was able to get into her mind and read most of her thoughts or whatever she was doing while inside of her head. And I really enjoyed that scene. But there is one part, and it happens to Rose the Hat's hand, which is pretty gross.
Pretty gruesome. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's a good 7.
At
But
least.
all in all, the characters, the writing, Stephen King struck it out of the park yet again with, well, I should say Stephen King and his son hit it out of the park yet again
Writing the book.
with the new book, because it it really followed in the footsteps of the first one. But the best thing about this movie is when they actually return to the Overlook, because they realize that they have to kill it at the source, and the source is the Overlook Hotel. And it seems no matter where they are in the country, the Overlook Hotel, because I believe at one point Danny lives in New Hampshire, and if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, the Overlook is in Colorado, and the grip it still has on him throughout this movie as well um, definitely shows you that it controls the person. Like, if you've been there, it leaves a lasting impression on you, and I'm not necessarily saying it's a good one. Um, I thought it was very clever in the movie maker's um, bag of tricks to make Ewan go back and have a conversation with his father, who is now
Lloyd,
Lloyd,
the
the
bartender.
bartender. And I think they did a very. I was kind of upset. I was anticipating Jack Nicholson reprising the role, even for a brief moment. Although,
Henry Thomas.
with Jack being 83 years old, it would have had a lot of work to be done to be convincing that he was still 41 years old.
DH him.
DH him, slim him down. So I get why they didn't. So I thought that the filmmakers are very clever by bringing in another great actor, Henry Thomas, who has been in a lot of recent stuff lately. And for the longest time, I didn't realize that that was Elliot from E.T. Yes, I will say Henry Thomas was amazing in The Haunting of Hill House, the Netflix series. Awesome show. The second season, not so much. It's not really that good, but either way, we're straying off topic. But the conversation between Henry Thomas playing Jack, aka Lloyd, in the Golden Ballroom, was actually reminiscent of the conversation that Jack has with Delbert Grady in the first one. Because if you pay attention to the conversations, they don't admit who they are at first. And by the end of the conversation, they know exactly who they are and they admit who they are to the person they're talking to. Whereas in the first one, Delbert Grady said his family wanted to leave the hotel. And he simply admitted to the gruesome murder and the way he chopped up his family as saying he had to correct them. And in this film, how did Lloyd, aka Jack, do it in this film?
He tried to get him to take the drink at the bar because he considered it his medicine.
Right. And I believe that if Ewan McGregor's character
Had done
Danny, I believe the hotel would have overtaken him.
that in a much less pleasant way.
Yes, I believe he would have been possessed, and he would have tried to kill everyone like his father did prior. It was very clever. It was really clever. I believe the sequel definitely lives up to the original. The one thing you can't replace about the original that is not present in this film is the direction. Stanley Kubrick in the first Shining was amazing.
He's a
With the
stickler for
amazing
details.
with the amazing way he shot scenes, and I do love how they tried to recreate those scenes in the second one, but it was just missing Kubrick's touch. Also, the fact that Jack Nicholson was not present in the movie, even though, as I just explained prior, um, they did a good job in tying Lloyd in because they obviously wanted Lloyd to look young, like Jack Nicholson was back in 1980 when he was 41 years old. They wanted him to look young. Um, so that I can understand why they chose a younger actor to portray Lloyd, aka Jack. But other than that, I give it 2 thumbs way up.
Rated out of 10.
1 out of 10, I'd say like an 11. I would have to say this is probably one of the best sequels, especially in a Stephen King series, to the original. They didn't stray too far off topic. It wasn't like they were trying to impersonate or trying to recreate exactly what happened in the first one. They let it be its own movie, but at the same time, it tied in very well to the original film.
But if you do pay attention to the movie, there are some very subtle Easter eggs that they left in from the original Shining.
What do you mean?
Like when what's the actor's name? Bruce Greenwood.
Yep.
Is talking to Ewan McGregor. His office is the same as
Right.
the guy interviewing Jack Nicholson from the first one, and how they tied in the original music back in, which obviously they wouldn't. I don't think would have been half as impactful if they left all that music out.
That's correct. I think the whole point of the music was to point out what they were trying to accomplish and what they were trying to show, and that it was in fact the office that Jack Nicholson was interviewed in the very first one. Also, if you're a stickler for details, the one detail that I picked up on when we watched it in theaters is the fact that when Danny goes back to the Overlook, his outfit is eerily similar to the outfit his father wore in the climactic scenes of the movie. A pair of blue jeans, a plaid shirt, a coat. Um,
I think the only difference there is that
his color.
His jacket's a different color.
Yeah, and so in a way, I think the writers put that in there to see if true fans would pick up on it, or it could have been like a metaphor as like this is the last thing he's going to wear before he perishes at the Overlook Hotel.
So now that we're done actually talking about the movie, what do you think of Ewan McGregor's portrayal of an older Danny?
I think it was well. I think he played the drunk alcoholic Danny trying to forget about his past really well. And I did notice that when he cleaned himself up and got his life straight when he ended up in New Hampshire, I I think he did a great job at trying to show a guy who still had skeletons in his closet, but was trying to figure out um, how to live a normal life, considering the gift he had, and he figured out ways to quiet it down, so that way it wasn't like an everyday part of his life.
That was the whole point about the boxes.
Yes. So I think Ewan McGregor did an amazing job. I think I do love the cameo by the original Danny Torrance in the film. That one scene I was telling you about earlier when what are they called?
The True Knot.
The True Knot was attacking the little boy and eating his fear. Right before that, there is a Little League game which shows the original
Danny Torrance.
the original Danny Torrance,
Played by Danny Boyd.
if only for a second. No, sorry, can't talk today, folks. I have this problem where I get stuck on words. It happens a little bit. And I thought that was great that they included him in the film. Obviously, his acting chops ain't that good, or else he probably would have just played himself again. But overall, I think the movie was an excellent sequel to an excellent original. But you get to tip your hat off to the writing. This world would be a different world without Stephen King. He has written many stories that have been adapted into great films, and I would have to say The Shining and
Doctor Sleep.
yeah, there we go. See, I need sleep because I completely forgot what we were talking about. Sorry about that, guys. I think they're both great films, and I could be wrong. You guys may disagree with everything we're saying, but hey, you can talk to us about it and be nice about it. I understand in this world where it's an online world and people think they're keyboard tough guys. Just keep it nice and keep it clean. If you have any problems with anything we're saying, or if your opinion differs from anything we're saying. But now that we're kind of done talking about the movie, here is the debate. How do you really say Ewan McGregor's name? That is the question.
Oh my gosh.
Because I say Ewan. How do you say it?
Ewan, the way it's spelled.
Yes, it is spelled Ewan, but I looked it up one night because I got in a fight with my fiance about how to pronounce it. And just like dictionaries, they tell you how to pronounce people's names, and it was pronounced Youan, which to me would say Ewan, but apparently I'm wrong. So, guys, if there is a way for you to video comment, how would you say Ewan McGregor? Or
Ewan.
Ewan?
Yep.
All right. So, I guess that concludes our little chat. Thanks for watching. If you like more, please subscribe to his YouTube channel. And hopefully I'll get to see you guys again.
Comment, like, if you enjoyed, like he said, subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one, guys.